Hello everyone, good day and welcome to our channel Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. My name is Elsa Abraham. We have some good news, and the good news is Alena Media TV would like to announce to our lovely viewers that we are expanding our programs. So kindly take note of our weekly activities. On Mondays, we'll report on COVID-19. Tuesdays are African history. Wednesday, world news and editorials. Thursdays, COVID-19 reports. Friday is world news. Saturdays, African news. Another good news is we are starting a satellite broadcast very soon. This satellite broadcast will begin on the 20th of June 2020, which will also be Eritrean Martyrs Memorial Day. Kindly take note of our frequency. Now SAT vertical 12728. Symbol rate 27500. FEC 5/6. We'll bring you more details after this short break. Kindly stay with us. Sudan protesters rally 1 year after bloody crackdown. Sudanese protesters hung up effigies depicting Rapid Support Forces soldiers on the first anniversary of a deadly raid on an anti-government sit-in protest. Sudanese protesters hung up effigies depicting Rapid Support Forces soldiers in the first anniversary of a deadly raid in an anti-government sit-in protest. Khartoum. Sudanese protesters took to the streets of Khartoum Wednesday, angrily demanding justice for scores of pro-democracy demonstrators killed a year ago in a bloody crackdown. The popular mass movement had already brought down longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir, but was still on the streets demanding further reforms when it was attacked by armed men in military fatigues on June 3, 2019. We won't forget and we won't forgive. Read an Arabic language protest sign held up by a mask-clad Sudanese woman as scores of other protesters rallied, and the smoke of burning car tires blackened the sky. We came out today in the searing heat, despite fears of the coronavirus spread, to commemorate them and to keep their memory alive in our hearts, said one of the protesters. At least 128 people were killed and hundreds more wounded in the attack outside Khartoum's army headquarters, according to doctors linked to the protest movement. Official figures say at least 87 people died that day. The attackers perpetrated murder, torture, rape, sexual violence, enforced disappearance of persons, and potentially other inhumane acts, says a March report by the US-based group Physicians for Human Rights. The new prime minister under Sudan's post-Bashir's civilian military transition authority, Abdallah Hamdok, pledged Wednesday that justice will be done. I assure you all that achieving justice and retribution for the martyrs of the sit-in is an inevitable and irreversible step, Hamdok said in a televised statement. Protesters on Wednesday hung up effigies of soldiers and of the Rapid Support Forces, the parliamentary group they blame for the bloodbath, a change firmly denied by Sudan military leaders. A grieving father, one protester, held up a large photo of Abdul Salam Keisha, a 25-year-old protester who was killed in the attack last year in the capital's Eastern Riyadh district. The dead man's father, Keisha Abdul Salam, told AFP days ago that he still held out hope that the killers will be brought to justice by post-revolution authorities. We demand an international probe to ensure justice for those killed, said Keisha, a leading member of a campaign group for the families of protest victims. A memorial portrait of his slain son has been painted on the Khartoum house of the bereaved father, who has two other sons and a daughter. He recalled the day he heard the shocking news. I rushed to the protest site after receiving multiple random phone calls saying my son had died, he said, only to find out later that multiple gunshots had indeed claimed his son's life. Sudan's transitional authorities, which came to power in August with Bashir behind bars, have formed a committee to probe the violence, but it has yet to announce its findings. In July last year, an initial probe by Sudan's military officials and prosecutors showed that some members of the RSF and other security forces were involved in the killing. Military officials insist the operation had been planned to purge an area near the protest camp where people were allegedly selling drugs. Hamdok in October tasked veteran lawyer Nabil Abdi with leading the investigations and to present findings within 3 months. Adib told AFP that 3 months was not enough, especially given that this is a crime with political overtones and involves a large number of defendants. It may even involve powerful figures, he said. He said the investigation had been further hampered by the coronavirus pandemic, which has so far infected more than 5,000 people and killed over 300 in Sudan. International rights groups, which have documented multiple witness accounts, have called for a transparent investigation. Physicians for Human Rights said the violence could rise to the level of international crimes for which there should be no immunity, including crimes against humanity. Adib said the committee has so far received many testimonies but did not elaborate, saying only that we gave them assurances that their identities will remain anonymous. But families of the victim remain skeptical. I don't believe this committee will bring justice to the martyrs, said Amna, Abdul Salam's mother, and she tearfully showed an album of photos of her son. We will not forgive those who shed blood, and we will not give up on the martyrs' right. Now, in other news, Sudan's prime minister promises justice on anniversary of sit-in killings. Sudan's Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok pledged justice on Wednesday for scores of pro-democracy protesters killed a year ago when security forces broke up a sit-in outside the defense ministry. The demonstration was the culmination of weeks of protests that led to the army to overthrow veteran leader Omar al-Bashir and ushered in a power-sharing agreement last year. The military, including a powerful paramilitary force that witnesses and activists said played a leading role in the raid is new in a fragile 3-year pact with civilians. Hamdok, an economist and former senior United Nations official, leads a traditional government and named a commission in October to investigate the raid. I assure you all that achieving comprehensive justice and retribution for the souls of our hero martyrs and for the wounded and missing is an inevitable and irreversible step, Hamdok said in a televised speech. We are awaiting the completion of the Independent Investigation Committee's work, which will be followed by referring all those found guilty of participating in the massacre that dispersed the sit-in to fair and public trials. Some protesters took to the streets of the capital, Khartoum, on Wednesday morning carrying pictures of victims and chanting, "Our martyrs are not dead, they are alive with the revolutionaries," a Reuters witness said. One group closed a main street and burned tires in Omdurman, Khartoum's twin city. The number of victims from last year's raid was being disputed. Activist doctors have said nearly 130 people were killed in the raid and ensuing violence. Officials have acknowledged 87 deaths. Officials should make investigations findings public and give prosecutors resources to follow up, including bringing charges against those responsible at the highest levels, Human Rights Watch said in a statement. 1 year on, victims of the bloody crackdown have heard many promises but are yet to see any form of accountability, said Jahane Henry, the group's East Africa director. This is where we end today's episode of our African news. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Thanks for watching.